My favorite thing about Nollywood is the fact that talented people, if they are consistent, emphasis on if they are consistent, they find their way to the top. You know, there are months, 3, 4, 5 months, nobody's coming to you to say, oh, write this or develop this. But when you're consistent and people know that you're consistent, you would find your way to the top.
My name is Mbelakpo Joseph Berpamo.
And you're watching Spotlight by Katungfilms. Being nominated for the AMVCA is very refreshing. I think refreshing is the word. Fun fact was that I came to Lagos in 2018 and Lagos happened to me and I ran back to Port Harcourt to go and stay with my family because I was like, I can't do this. I remember that in 2018, I was attending the Elevation Church, Pastor Godman Akinlabi. I was on the island and I remember I heard a word in my spirit to prepare for multiple harvests. But then that harvest did not happen until 2021. And even after 2021, it wasn't multiple because I was like, okay, I see the harvest, but it's not multiple. Should you say multiple? Multiple is like 10, 15, 20. 2 does not count as multiple. You agree? So I remember after I spent almost everything that I made from those 2 projects, because like I had to survive in Lagos, it got to a point where the house that I was living in, we cannot pay the rent anymore. So my sister, who I was living with at the time, now said, you know what, let's move back home. And it looked like the safest thing to do. The house was around 460K. It was not a lot of money, but we didn't have it. So she was like, let's move back home. And I'm like, yeah, sure, let's move back home. At the time also, I was also in Ebony Life Creative Academy. I was studying to be a producer. And I just told myself that morning, it was my birthday, the 7th of October. And I said, okay, this is it. So that morning we had packed our bags, pulled it to the door. We decided, you know what? Once I come back, my sister had already reached out to somebody that will help us clear the house, move the things that we can't move to Port Harcourt into his space. And then maybe when we come back, we go back and then, you know, mount up with wings like eagle. And then we'll come back to Lagos, we'll get an apartment and we move those things back there. I always tell people, this is my experience. This is how I know that God exists for myself without anybody telling me. I got to school that day. I had 115 naira with me. There's this woman that sells akamu and akara. I don't know, people call it something in Lagos, but akamu and akara. And then she put bread and the package is 150. So in my head, I'm like, eat that, you're good for the day. Before I went to buy that, a friend of mine had called and he said, oh, Amy, you know, you told me you had some screenplays you wanted to sell. Do you still have them? I was like, yeah, I still have them. How far? And he's like, oh, there's a producer who is looking to buy. Send them to me, let me send to him, and then let's see if he likes any one of them. This is everything I'm telling you happened in like 35 minutes to 40 minutes. Everything I'm telling you right now. I got to school, he called me, I sent him the scripts, and then he said, leave your account number just in case. No, of course, after he asked me how much do you want to sell, and I was like 200K pipes. I just said it. See, it was just, you know that moment when you're not thinking of anything. I'm like 200K per script, and he was like, are you sure you won't sell 150? I said no, 200K per script. That's what I will sell. And he was like, okay, just leave your account number in case, you know, he agrees to it. And then I leave my account number, and then I go to buy the akamu akara and bread combo. I went there, bought it, came back upstairs. Class hadn't started because I always arrive early. I was in the kitchen, I was eating, finished eating, came back to my seat, picked up my phone that was charging, and I saw 400,000 naira there. Yeah, just like that. I did not even call the person that sent me the money to say, oh, I see the money. I call my sister and say, rent don't show. Oh yeah, pay. And my sister was like, oh my God, where did I say, wait first, pay the rent, we are not moving again. And I sent it to her. And I tell you, from that moment on, there is nothing that this industry, like, of course, we have dry spells. There are months when you will not, you know, do anything. There are months when you will not get called to write. There are months when you will not, you know, get commissioned to do anything. But every time I get to those dry spells, I just know that God is cooking something bigger for me. I'm not worried about it. And I will not lie and say it's not, you know, brain boggling, because you start thinking, am I such a bad writer? Why is nobody calling me? But I just know that there's something at the end of the tunnel. And that has always been how I have pictured life and writing and Nollywood and everything. My breakthrough moment will be getting the opportunity to write for Imo Morin in 2021. I mean, I won't exactly say it was writing for him because he might see this and be like, oh, you were writing for me. I was writing for Indani TV. But then it was Imor who put out the ad for writers to reach out, and then I reached out. We were like 5 writers who were selected for the Coming of Age series, Schooled. It's been like 4 years, but I still feel like that was one project that I really enjoyed working on because it was like the very first time I was ever in a writer's room. After that moment, the next thing that happened was I got on Becoming Abby. I don't think the producer, Boluezi, and even realized that God is about to take her to the next level because I think she developed it and I was like, oh, we'll just do it, you know? And then it became a global hit because it was now on Netflix Global. The Yard, I was story editor for The Yard. The Yard is a 130 episode series on African magic. See, the writing on The Yard was just extraordinary. I would say so myself, extraordinary. All the crew members that read it were always they always send notes back and be like, you guys, what are you writing, you know? You know, the kind of show that everybody's reading the script. Normally, sound people don't read scripts. I'm sorry, but mostly they will just, you know, you guys know, you just look at the characters and mic them. But then the sound people are reading, makeup people are reading because the script was just so good. Mother of the Bride, my sissy. I grew up in Port Harcourt. So when we got into the writer's room for Mother of the Bride, and then we're just throwing ideas, what are we going to name this matriarch, this woman is, and I was like, my sissy. If you're from Port Harcourt, you know that I know what I'm saying. My sissy is like the woman in the market that will tell you, no, call me mommy, oh, I be like your mama, you know, that kind of thing. So I really, really enjoyed working on that project. It's very, very dear to my heart. I think Ngbuka, Scrap, as I like to call it, because that's the original name that I gave the show. But then it's on African Magic Igbo, and they had to, like, you know, translate it to an Igbo show. Ngbuka is also very dear to my heart. I think it was 2024 when a writer friend reached out and said, oh, there's this producer who was looking to develop a few things and then send it to African Magic. And then we gathered. And then it was from that story workshop. It wasn't a writer's room. It was a workshop where we talked about stories. That's how we created Scrap. And then I went on to pitch it. And then, you know, it was greenlit. And of course, we had the show. And if I want to, like a mother, I cannot say I like this one, but I like all of them. It's like a mix of, you know, they all have like their very dear place in my heart. Why did I apply for the British Council Film Lab Africa? I would say expansion and positioning. As a writer who has been writing for about 5 years now and being a TV writer, script editor for like 3 years, it feels like an unending loop. You just wake up in the morning, you eat, you have your bath, go on a run or go on a walk, and then you start working. Rinse and repeat, you know? So at a point, I asked myself, you know, what can I do more, you know, to feel more alive as a writer? Because the kind of things that we develop for TV, sometimes they are ideas that you created, other times they are not. They are people's ideas. And if you're not careful, you might lose yourself in that commerciality, that cycle of doing things for other people and doing things for other people. Before I came to Lagos in 2021, I came with like bags and bags of stories. And unfortunately, or should I say fortunately, I sold every single one of them. Now I don't have anything new that I am creating, but I am still creating things. This time around, just creating with TV writers and creating with other people in workshops, in writer's room. There's no time to sit down with yourself and say, okay, what kind of story do I want to tell? And I think that's what led me into applying for British Council Film Lab. And thankfully I was selected and we got into the lab and we spent about five to 6 weeks learning from different facilitators, both in Nigeria, internationally. We had facilitators from Canada, the US, the UK. Such wholesome experience that just lets you realize that as much as you want to do this for the next bill to be paid, you want to do this so that you can send money back home to pay black tax, you want to do this to buy a car, you want to do this to feed, to get an apartment, you will come to a point in your career that you want to do something so people will know your voice. So I wanted to position myself for that. I wanted to position myself for expansion as a writer. That is why I did it.